How do we determine the price of Pokemon cards? I recently got back into Pokemon and was looking at all my old cards and was scanning them to see what prices they all sell for. And some were selling for a fair bit, and others not so. So how do we determine what is worth what, and who decides this? Well, it doesn't really work like that. There are a few main factors that can determine the price of a Pokemon card. And today we're going to go through all of that. At its most basic level, there's two ways we can look at how to measure the price of what a Pokemon card will sell for. This is the rarity of the card and the condition. Higher the rarity, the higher the price, and the better condition, the higher the price. However, this isn't the best way to measure it, as there are other cards that are exceptions to this. Take Prismatic Evolutions for example. The chase card right now is Umbreon, selling for $2,500, which is a 2-star. However, we have a card the same rarity as a Leafeon that's selling for $550. So what determines this? This is where looking at the rarity and the condition of the card starts to not really work anymore. So let's go through the other factors that can affect the price of the card. Now, to get a better understanding of what should sell for what, we're going to have to look at some economics. Here's a supply and demand chart I made earlier so we can help to better understand what can affect the prices of Pokemon cards. On this, there's two main sides. The first one is supply. By looking at supply, we can see how many of these cards are in rotation right now. For example, things that can affect this are pull rates and how many cards are printed. The higher the pull rate, the less cards that will be in rotation, which means that supply will be harder to get. So people can charge more to get these cards since it's harder to find. And the other part of this is how many cards are printed. This is a bit harder to measure because I don't think Pokemon actually release exact numbers of how many packs are printed. However, we can tell for something like Prismatic Evolutions, they've openly announced that they're going to print a lot more Pokemon cards for this set to match the hype. So we can estimate that eventually these prices will go down because of the amount of cards that will be printed. Now we're onto the demand side of things, where there's a lot more things that affect the demand of the card. The first one relating to supply is the rarity of the card. If the card's really rare and hard to pull, there's going to be a high demand for it, as people will want the card for their sets. The second factor is quite literally just how cool the card is. People will pay a lot of money for cooler cards. We can see this, for example, in Surging Sparks, where the Latios and Latios are selling for a lot more than the other cards, primarily because they're really, really cool cards. The next factor that can affect this is the popularity of the set. There's a lot of sets out there that are really, really cool, however, have some cards in it that aren't really that good, but people will still buy them because they need to complete the set. A good example of this is like gold cards, where no one really wants a gold card. They don't really look cool, but you need to complete the set. The last factor that can affect the demand, and something that I didn't even think about for a while, was how good the card is in game. If we look at Surging Sparks, two of the gold cards, the Gravity Mountain and Night Stretcher, the Gravity Mountain is selling for $20, while the Night Stretcher is selling for $30. The $10 difference? It's quite literally because people like to use the Night Stretcher in the deck. I don't play the card game, but I've seen online a lot that it's a really, really good card to play in game, which has affected the price. So after determining how many of the cards are in rotation and how many people actually want the card, are we able to determine the price of the card pretty easily? Well, not really. Something like how cool the card is so subjective, and it's really, really hard to find a card that everyone thinks is cool. There's certain cards I think are really, really good. However, you look online and no one really likes it, which makes prices just so subjective. One of the easiest ways to tell is just to look at previous prices of what it's sold for. Hopefully this helped you guys to get a better understanding of where the prices of Pokemon cards come from. If you did like this video, feel free to leave a like, leave a comment, tell me what I should do next. I do want to do more of these type of videos, and subscribe if you really like the video. Thank you guys for watching, and have a good day.